yesterday. Not a good idea, hydrate. And we ask that you no smoking within 50 feet. So if you do want to smoke, you got to go farther back than right outside. Please keep the aisles clear. And looks like we don't have an issue with this. But if the walls are down, the masks are on. However, if you want to wear a mask now, that's okay too. We're easy here. And have fun with this. Now, a couple of notes back to this afternoon's performance. Like in Shakespeare's times, the audience can be participatory in responding, so if you don't like somebody who's saying something evil, you can go, boo. Or if you like somebody, huzzah! You can respond, please no heckling. Also, after the show, there will be a talk back with the company, so we will have all the actors, the director, and the playwright. For those who haven't been to a talk back, it's a question and answer, time for questions and answers. You can ask anything about the play or about period pieces. So, thank you so much, and enjoy the murder of Thomas Brynde.
Though they be, neglected prayers lie deciduous. Common sedimented tragedies, like endless sliding debris, pass unmarked to build time's ever-widening riverbed, which flowing joins the ocean of the past. I serve the Privy Council of the Queen, whose circumspective justice ruled our land, which neither lord is of no matter. My hour, and much of theirs, has long been dimmed, but when their zenith shone on church and state, they glossed enjoinders, treaties, behests, so many crises needing overseeing of. And I, with others, screened all inbound pleas, the chaff from that great harvest discarded to moulder here in one obscurity. So many scanned from age to age, once sworn to frame it, suddenly refused. Some contracted land, now shrouded in its breath. Such scratching squabbles, bred of desire. A seeming liberty, in troth, a Maya. But one among this mountain with a flame, after which I never was the same.
Her honored lords, Your Majesty, Your Queen Majesty, and other members of the Privy Council, in lamentation comes this supplicant. My name is Edwards, man of Waynesboro, a foster to a tragedy, left without such kin to see it right. Imagine, if you will, one gentle farm, well-mannered, Thistleclose by name, my lords, where each hedgerow grows tidy on the green, and patterned cattle graze politely on. Down low should any lady pass. Good English beeves raised there by Thomas Brynde, true courtier in nature's verdant realm. My cherished hours, spent in his company in quiet lassitude upon the close. Just he and me in nature's quiet spin. The sun, our pendulum over steady days. Both my friend and yours, and it please you, a trustier man could never be found in all your navy's roundings of the world. This summer last, 2 brigand brothers came to Waynesboro, Clement and Robert Brown, 2 men of Berkshire, foul in repute. They seized my faithful Thomas in the course he went daily betwixt his meadowed heath and residence, and binding his wrist tight, commanded that he release all his stock. Held captive there 3 days, or at least such time as his absence was found out, I would not fain imagine what distress, what dread devices villains contrived to force compliance from good men like he. I know not whether Tom, stalwart, refused their barbarous terms, or, tortured, acquiesced. Notwithstanding, he was released. By God's wounds was my friend transformed in mood, his peaceful calm to eerie stillness turned. September came, and with it came the Browns to Brynde's front door, with more threats as I heard. The parley failed, and Thomas was knocked prone. Devil take them in this cursed pen, through which their evil deeds rekindled live, when likeness of my friend is out blot. They smote him, forgive me, ye gentles, dead on the doorstep, drained in the cold. His blood still marked the post where he once lay. However, restitution has been stayed. Despite strong witness claims, the Browns bear blame, and Thomas's own testimony about his abduction ere he died, those men ran to Berkshire, whose sheriff denies arrest and spurns proper pursuit. His blood still marks the post where he once lay. Good counsel. Harmony on English soil, as well you know, relies on steady hands of justice, governance in all her parts. I am but one small gear in that great clock, whose hands stretch from the old world to the new. My friend's soul and I, in sympathy, scream out for right and truth to win the day. His blood still marked the post where he once lay. I beg of you, your graces, intercede. These murderers must see a darkened cell, that Thomas may smile down from heaven's light. See English justice and result thereof. God save the Queen. May she my dismay ease. Your subject, John Edwards, on his knees.
So went the tale, unanswered at the time, perplexing thus that so odious men as the brothers Brown would still remain at large, in light of their dark deeds, well known by now. The Privy Council would not arbitrate what was to them, at best, a provincial feud, because my masters thought it below them. 'Twas then their servants, my duty instead. So I reasoned as I started forth. Wherefore should any shield that loathsome crew, Clement and Robert Brown, they surely knew.
Our job is done, and simply enough was not young Rob. What ho! A pint for my dear brother.
Aye, Clement, as you claimed it would be. A heavy coin purse, one from soft hands. Here now, dost thou suppose our sponsor offer up his promised clemency?
Keep his word, and so his life by my troth. Vengeance is most fit in cases like that. But worry not, none living yet, save us assigned to those where our redound crouches, which lately we have provisioned and disguised in case of double cross. That Brynde, laid low, conveys with him hereafter, where his spirit fled, the eternal honor of first and only guest there in our quarter.
Will that keeled fancy not take umbrage to our method? He never gave allowance for such violence as we avail.
Stem thy griping tongue on ale instead, and quiet both thy nerve and thy aching. The grace Sir Knight declined to specify what route we take to his desired end, and I dare retort, we found one more direct. Lower his station, as was directed, could mean most anything, though. How such a rooted oak found this thing in the whip of Thomas Brynde? All not on earth. No, when that Brynde resisted what small stooping we would offer in the seizure of his means, we took what means we had to lower him further still. Him? Beat the ground. We more than cover with earth. Lowering a man may suffer besides. Say, been my refrain since we were small.
There's no justice in this world, Robert, besides what one can make for themselves.
Aye, by God, since thou wert just a twig, we reap that truth. I swore I'd see us thou grown, no matter the deed be done. Have it not been so?
Clem, so it
Now,
has.
because we justice? It's like probably a feebler blood than ours. Like that was stranded Waynesboro, or else it would not have spilt at all. So I say good riddance. Wash away. Not I, nor thou should let our constitution be stained by such thin stuff. Or judgeth not the kindness of the soldier at the front, nor plague one's charity for the poor. Do saintly gullets not crumble? Same as yours come famine, nay, brother, rest easy. 'Tis just enough for men that they should survive at all. Now come, time for one more drink before our rendezvous. We've run back 70-fold what we spent here.
Or so I heard the conversation went from brooding men, who afterwards I found on Bleary Ale House, atop leaning benches, who overheard loud Clement's boastful speech. Why I travelled there? For such dim news I cannot say. Some ghostly urge compelled, and I determined, answered its grim call. I must admit, no record of the grounds remains. But there are some clues which point to a hidden purpose in their scheme. From Waynesboro received we one more note, since Edward's first request for aid arrived. For winter's chill, entrances, falls, slid away, sharp winds heralded pointed words as well. That strange continuance held my mind fast. You may intuit yet what I too feared would come to pass. For soon the law itself perverted in its course and misemployed, forever my enfeebled faith destroyed. A foe's misportioned effort may reveal their true aim, yet unfound it would conceal.
Dear queens, most excellent men, I compliment well in advance your even-handed nature, proven o'ermuch through countless trials wherein the written law kept steady sway, above all wanton humor and blind judge. I am your servant, Alice Cloud by name. I seek redress in the most piteous case of my adjacent neighbor, Thomas Brynde, assaulted on his threshold by two men. Attending to that morning's tasks, I saw the strangers on approach to Brynde's front door. My stead but up the road from his. I watched with horror as they raised their bludgeons high and brought an innocent blow. I shudder now to draw it back in this retelling, sirs. These two, called Brown, I soon learned, ran and hid, compounding violence with craven break. Your worthies need not be reminded, sure, such viciousness is indefensible, abhorrent in the village square as much as in the grandest rooms of Westminster. Huzzah! As witness from my yard, I did what's right, and set the appointed sheriff to the chase, Sir Henry Nevitt, with good men a horse who rode down and arrested both the Browns when they emerged from their ill-favored pit.
The interruption of my low device shall cost thee, busybody, a high price. My coin and privilege roar above thy truth. Thou'lt find me lionesque in pride and tooth.
No sooner had he both the men in chains, but I received a suit from Henry Neville, the very godson of our late King Henry. His family name's refraining echo sounds returning peals cross England's annals long, cohabits pages with our peerless dead. Well, Neville dictated their full release, and I retract what swore my eyes had seen, or he and I do battle for a judge. I'll see ye finished what had drained thee first, a hefty fine or prison, gossip. Choose. What ho! He kens not who he'll try in court. Whole decades spent I, judicating out what scrap of small inheritance I could from my dear father's legacy, disjoint by fractious relatives. I know too well, true justice lies untouched by innate fact, but only what the letter of the law may currently interpret as a right. Did blood within my veins prove me the air in some great show of magic to a crowd? Did my dead father's ghost return at once to speak for me with heaven's authority? There were no burning leaves to call me forth like Moses against his will to greatness was. No, only leaves of birth and death reports, assizes, audits, surveys, and the like put light to what my half-brothers would claim. Good records make good neighbors, dear Sir Let's see what proof you bring when time has come. What legal jabs thou triest in trial ring. Society discerns with rhetoric and argues evidence with plethoric. So far we've come from savage barbarity, and yet thou menace action against me. Dear Privy Council, cease this folly, please, for common good do not this man appease. Obedient servant, and with reason too endowed. Politely yours in service.
Here, here.
Alice Cloud.
I fear no other letter e'er arrived, and my masters on the council did not care to intervene in one man's death. These missives floated through my brain at night, like January's creeping cold on glass, which by degrees encroaches clarity until the outside world most disappears. Just so this circumstance enshrouded me, carrying doubts still vibrate in my skull. Reasons for the aristocracy to spend good coin or time on account of either rude brown brother. And even more, why would they release Brynde so soon and return and slay him later by such monstrous method? It's passing strange such plans for stealing stock. If Neville I could bind, I'd bid him talk. Here, chart what end that footpad pair were worth, and what dark course seekest thou to grant them birth?
Hist, plated purveyor of law, I would have thee press my suit against Alice Cloud, a senseless rustic whose sharp eye, ear, tongue, thou must suppress by weight of English law. To better ascertain my design and to better play act the instructions I here lay, thou must learn my history more exact than those king's men must pantomime the boys of gallery fiends before the curtain up. For if the unexpected comes to pass, as thou hast ruminated on my whim, most subtly will my operations speed.
Come, Sir Henry, coin spills by the hour. Thy payments will my expertise empower. Between us, only secrets and pretense will keep me from thy adequate defense.
'Twas 5 years ago, my second wife, good Elizabeth Neville, sadly passed away. The granddaughter of London's mayor, and I must include the sole heir to her uncle who founded London's Royal Exchange. Upon her death, her money became part of my great domain, and another set of silver dishes set upon a feasting table heavy yet, with every feast both sampled or enjoyed. Yet I, the host of such a glut, demanded more leaves be added, allowing more and more be piled on.
Such admissions are slight. Should weep and tear their hair and be contrite the man who comprehends his true intent, or else is blind to his own speech's bent.
No sooner had this dove been called and served, but I surveyed the menu for the next. In fashionable circles, word spread of one Elizabeth Doyley, ye Bacon, some 20 years my junior, widowed by plague or some such other tragic thing. The daughter of the keeper of the seal of Elizabeth I. Oh, what a prize! And Doyley's death left her with money, lands, and no direct descendants in a way. The only problem was this blasted steward, some small-landed gentleman who knew her lands and stock and cared for them at her request. The lady made her infatuation plain, and whispers of betrothal would not do. Against this unfit pair being matched, I had the low-born gentleman dispatched. my superior place gave me the right to swift remove this Icarus in flight.
I cry, Sir Henry, blind thee to the deed by which thou, appertaining guilt, indulgest. The ease thou offerest young Elizabeth, a lifetime's grace more than atones for one speedy death.
Yes, 'tis as thou estimates indeed. Is it thou speakest my mind with thy breath? Besides, my hand bore not the blameless blow. 2 Burlish men were more than happy to take the purse I offered, and my word, should they be captured, that I would set them free. My generous dowry would outweigh that fee. In fact, was it no charity I showed the Browns? I overpaid by half to be discreet. And they bludgeoned Thomas Brynde outdoors like 2 simplistic Ajaxes instead. And so, I thee employ to silence she, whose testimony throttles my design. I've done no wrong, simply what I have earned. The summary of a generation's toil. Compared to what I add to England's wealth, the general prosperity, the prospect of a 3rd wife's progeny, and all the many nameless now employed by what I claim and hold, I find it hard to shed even a tear for some small landed cabinet of late. So thou fearest that I am unveiled, but when my true life's value is soon scaled, the holy merchant man will see a prize well worth investment, even to most men's eyes.
God save you, Henry Neville, keep you well. Who holds more guilt for charging into hell? Unjust man's by he who holds the reins. And those who follow him do not complain. My own serenity, I sought at length, despite increasing quantum in this case. I went myself to Wiltshire and inquired whatever happened to the brothers Brown, who won the suit ill-pressed by their arrest. The cameos among a gallery, these minute intrigues, oft so fleeting are, e'en vibrant and intense as frescoes face that bridge the corners of a feasting hall. Unable to compare in weight or size, they disappear should one step off a pace. So I'm left alone within myself, surrounded by these self-made specters now, the heroes, villains of this untold tale. I wonder at thy pale nobility, while men like Neville boss their deeds upon the impressed page of their passage in English history. Dear Edwards, didst thou find a way to peace, so rarely given to those who must survive such loss, e'en after many years have passed? Respectfully, Neville, suffer for thy plot, and lay awake at night like I do. The last remembrance I could find of thee, good Thomas Brynde, comes from thy love, Elizabeth Doyley. For thy cursed fall, distilled by tragic promise in her voice, Elizabeth, dost thou live in grief or rage at thy cold, counted match to Neville's house, and that premeditated ending of thy love? Or live without true knowledge of thy spouse? I weep upon thy exploit for his greed, a rose bloom smothered by a weed.
My dearest Thomas, how I wished for the summer once again, when sweet winds blew at thistle close, and thou wouldst blossoms find to crown my place. Together, as we sat amidst the columbine, I felt thy warmth. But now, once more the trees forget their hue, and thin in mourning of the coming cold. When illness stole my Robert winter last, I learned how swiftly breath and heart can ebb to waves of suffocating chill and straining loss. How quickly fortune's fields collapse and leave one stony ravine wave to try to sit down, not knowing what may lurk at farthest end. In sympathy, the trees bowed in the frost. Just as, soon enough the buds returned, encouraged hope's constants, small as they are. He did deliver one prize while on earth, the same that thou now pridest in thy care. Aye, aye, I hear thee wryly in reply. Thy love thou surely mean'st, Elizabeth. Troth, but not the soul in this case, dear. Lacking primogeniture to cede his land and property, he left them me. By these hills and copses, leas and fields, and every living thing on which them grew, so I in turn might live as freely as the doe, who knows no hedgerow boundary stone, nor need submit which man should own which plot.
Huzzah!
By these live means I came to live again. In manner, place, society I so chose. And that included hiring on a hand to teach me how best to steward this landscape. And that brought me to one such fellow. Oh, you likely know the man. A well-appointed gent, well-pointed in his looks and manners too. Oh, truly, choice is truest expression of that free will by which we are endowed by our Creator to pursue what's just and good in this world and the next.
Huzzah!
So now, my preference take me London bound, to visit with my dearest relatives, the Christmas tide to tarry in the sphere which most familiar brings an easy peace. I wait, and know again and yet again, shall I full-throated choose thy company? As long as I may it choose, and thou acceptest. If it vexeth thee, I chain my blush, tied leg to thy continued toil. Recall how precious is that liberty, the carefully treasured, fragile thing, by which mine own fledged dreams begin to spread and soar. 'Twould be a crime for me to steal from thee the same. And so, should ever one role thou forsakest, the chatelaine, or more, as thou wilt, thy self-determination I protect, as I should hope thou wouldst of me expect. Forced charity is just as mummery, a crass, distorted imitation, free of that true substance which mankind bestows to earnest love or joy at spring's first rose. So rest ye merry, Thomas Brynde, for soon the pastures, dormant now, shall be restrewn with buds, then blooms, then lambs, then sheaves of wheat, and I and thee in love exceeding sweet. Until we next decide we'd like to meet, I remain yours, Beth Doyle, St. James Street.
My only solace, I hope 'tis thine, is when I go to visit Thomas Brynde. For there, with just the stones against the wind, I feel some sense of comfort once again. Each time I take some small gifts as I can, a candle for his nights, some sweet-nosed thing, or once or twice fresh bread I like to bring. Some flowers anytime they are in bloom. And listening near, that place seems not a tomb. Instead, some cozy cabinet just like mine, placed too intimate not to confine. And there I hear a young man speak to me, from where he is finally truly free.
Hello. You've heard by now about my death. Part sad, part ordinary in its way. Power, money, love, and justice done. Or undone. None can say except for God, who, even in my close proximity, doth rarely share the ends of his designs.
I search for truth, if such a thing exists. These many years I have held thy story close. 'Tis like distorted air above fire, or fog upon a mere ere the sun can burn it away with clarifying rays.
Considering only these few letters stand, entire testament to my demise, they leave more questions, certainly, dear sir. How long was I an ache in my love's breast? Is there too short or long a time to grieve? When her term comes and duly she arrives, where vicissitudes by scheming have no sway, will she remember us on our best day?
She spoke of will, and it is my hope her willful love withstood the years, and shone, if faded, constant in her heart. the coals she carried of thy passion's fire, which warmed, not burnt. She shall be glad to see you, this I know.
Did Edwards, my companion, ever find some solace, seeing Robert and Clement hang? Should that even be justice for my death?
It seems an equal exchange. If a life is taken, one must begin. Elsewise, the scales of justice are askew.
What restorations made by such an act? Is the harm done me somehow unwound on time's great school, should they be killed in turn? Whose eye for mine is taken by their lives?
Miss Alice Cloud. She desired the arrest of Clement and Robert to set right the injury done to our populace and to English law, which must hold.
Didst Cloud write that cold argument of speech can change what's true and right through rhetoric? If I convince all Wiltshire I am named not Thomas, but any other name, and lived by such, back one night could have lived, does that become the truth, or greater lie? And should the laws be changed next century, to then include Sir Henry Neville's pay as proof of guilt through planned conspiracy, would Henry Neville be more guilty then? Be dug up where he rests and brought to trial?
I fear, good Thomas Brynde, I must think not. Found innocent in life, so he remains in English history, though not by God, who sees and judges all our mortal souls above the faulty justice we employ.
Huzzah!
If human judgment cracks and groans with strain in my or any other case, then why doth humankind still make the try at all? 'Tis as you say, and God shall set apart good from evil men come judgment day.
We hope, we feel that we are not doomed at our birth to moral highway or vice-strewn mire, but by instruction, just reward, and pain for misbehavior, even the wildest colt may be brought to works of service here, or punish eviler men in times of war. We build a stone foundation in our laws by which a man may rise above his flaw.
Nay, nay. Justice hears a wall of wattle and daub. I built a few such structures in my fields, and those of sweet Elizabeth's as well, and find them much more like what we men do than any Roman baths or English keeps. Like such immortal structures, only God, now and forever, shall his justice make. Instead, we find few straight or simple lines with which to lattice up our sense of right. For Christians, these come down from Sinai's deed. Thou shalt not kill, nor lie, nor steal, for these betray our human need, for life, for truth, and such necessaries by which life sustains. But in the making of our human laws, such strictures are less strict than they appear. And so, like wattled staves, we make them bend.
How so? For murder, theft, and perjury are crimes now and never are they not?
When Parliament lets Commons be enclosed, by whim or favor, assail to duke or count, do they not seize what others use to live? My cattle need that green, so too do clouds. And so, theft's definition slowly bends. Thou shalt not kill is wordlessly excused for foreign conquest, dominance o'er those whose trade routes or religions threaten ours. Or if it's not, then why are these allowed? And so our morals lean and bend, not break, and make a skeleton to suit our wants.
I see. 'Tis true exceptions grow to fundamental laws year after year, but what of the mud which covers the woven base?
The dog, most properly, is human-made. From clay, both we and it are formed around a God-inspired core.
What could it be?
Precedent. Decisions that we make. Each time we put to trial some new wrong, some situation never seen before. We gather unclear evidence as we can. We add our human reason, mix it well. 'Tis one more muddy handful, then applied wherever seemest thinnest on our wall. Repeat for countless generations then. Ere long see justice rise, a cattle shed, in which humanity doth keep its stock of hope. A cent in frail society, full thatched by faith in God or government, which keep the reins of trial and misfortune. Endemic to thy living world, I fear, from drowning all the goodness in our hearts.
Spake thou well, good Thomas Brynde, with my thanks. 'Tis clouded peace in human fashion, sure, but mortal lives, in all their imperfection, much better suit such ambiguity than any divine ray we'd never match. Instead, I took what time I had left to, in my long life, to look for where my rods of justice had bent with years of wear or harsh necessity and concessions. I aim to keep my soul's house plumb and true. Until the time I hope I shall stand with you. God keep you, Thomas Brynde, in heaven's light. Thy inspiration helped me with a right.
And I rest light, awaiting those I loved. My passionate Beth, whose zeal to learn the land and love of summer matched in strength with mine, whose curious conversation never stemmed, despite my timorous nature's best defense. And John, God bless his tendency to wax dramatic when I soften and affirm, so often righteous, rightly, towards my cause, shall stand with me in hallowed company, and thou too, if thou wilt, shall welcome me.
'Twould be my greatest honor.
Then take my hand, and together let's away to heaven's land, where fog lifts and rivers run so clear they seem of finest glass, once held so dear for letting brightness in on summer's day. Here, oceans of pure light will wash away the veils through which we humans see the world. And when all mankind's biases are furled, the curtains of our limitations drawn, true goodness rises in our hearts like dawn.
Hear, hear. Safeguard this tale, whoever findeth me. My last letter may add clarity. As fightest thou round rock-strewn, unmapped beds, perfect as thou art, to a perfect end.